Alright, SlimmBob here. Time for another review. This time, a game. And for me, a very highly anticipated game. Even though, so far, it's been outsold by just about everything. But for me, this game has been very highly anticipated. It made number 2 in my top 5 most anticipated games of this year. If you didn't see that video, the game I'm talking about is Calibur 5. Now, right, I've done a few videos about Calibur before, and I'm just gonna, if you've not seen them, I'm a huge fan of Calibur. I think it's the only system I've really got on with completely, you know, in a fighting game. I mean, even though, you know, about a year ago, if you would have asked me a year ago if I liked Street Fighter, I'd have said, fuck off, you're a knobhead, it's terrible. I'd have said that, because I didn't really get it, and the problem with Street Fighter, the AI always cheats, and even on easy, a year later, I'm still not very good. But Street Fighter I kind of like now. Street Fighter is always considered the standard, you know, for a fighting game. And I've played a lot of fighting games this year because, do you know why? It's kind of, I went through this same phase when I didn't have an Xbox 360, because I've always been a huge Halo fan. Like, to me, Halo is still the king of first-person shooters. A lot of people disagree, which, you know, fair enough, you want different things out of shooters. For me, though, I've always loved Halo mechanics, and I played, like, you know, Killzone, Call of Duty, Resistance, you know, loads of games, but on PS3. But then I bought an Xbox, and Halo just, it blew me away. And this game, Calibur 5, it's done exactly the same. It's reminded me why I love fighting games. And honestly, Calibur 5, I've got to be honest, it should have been the best fighting game ever made. Like, at least my favourite fighting game, for me. And the reason why it isn't is, well, it's because of the single player content, but I'll get onto it, right? Basically, in terms of, well, categories, graphics and sound, you know, graphically, Calibur's always been really good. I mean, it uses the same engine as the fourth one. It looks similar to the fourth one, except a bit less glossy, like a bit more stuff going on in background and things like that. And the characters look better. Like before, you could tell when someone had made a character, like on Calibur 4 and 3. But on this new one, I can't really. There's not really a distinction. It's like the character creations got so good that it actually, your creations sometimes look better than the originals, which is very rare to see that in a game, full stop. But yeah, in terms of presentation, Caliburs have always looked really good. But of course, you know, compared to a lot of Western games, this doesn't look amazing. But for what it's meant to be, and as a fighting game, this is still the best looking 3D fighting game out there, I'd say. I mean, it's better looking than Tekken. Tekken's always looked weird. I don't know if it's just me, but yeah, graphically it's great. The music's great as well, as always. It always has a really good soundtrack. Character themes are, you know, distinctive. I like how you can assign different music to different stages, you know, like during versus mode and things like that. So, you know, that's a welcome addition. Of course, there's DLC music in there, but you know, you don't have to get that. It solves stuff from previous games, you know, from Soul Blade up to Calibur 4. I'm going to end up getting them all because, well, to be honest, they're actually quite cheap. Like, you can get a full list, like 6 songs for like £1.75. Which, if you compare it, you know, Street Fighter, they're a rate rip-off, you know, costumes. You might as well buy, if you get all costumes for that, you might as well just buy a full game. It's ridiculous. But yeah, apart from that, yeah, the sound design's great. It feels a lot punchier. Like the sound effects, there's a lot more low frequencies. It's like you feel like there's a real punch to everything you do and stuff. So I'm glad they've redesigned the sound effects, and the announcer's changed. It's not like Battle 1, fight. It's not like that anymore. It's like whispering. It's like really low. It's like Battle 1, fight. It's like got this really low voice, like to say, you know what, this is different. And through the design, It's clear they wanted this to be different, and in ways it does succeed, I'll say that. And as you can tell, this is not an unbiased review at all. This is going to be a pretty biased review. I'll try and be as unbiased as possible, but, you know, take it with a grain of salt, this review. So I apologise, but yeah. Alright, in terms of story. Well, what fucking story? Yeah, well, the thing is, Soul Calibur has always had fantastic stories. I mean, I started on the second one. I'm not sure what the first one was like with story. I didn't have a Dreamcast. I've got it on Xbox Live Arcade, but I've done like arcade mode a couple of times. I've not done anything else, but Soul Calibur 2 had Weapon Master mode, where it was basically a campaign. You could choose any fighter, and you're basically questing to destroy Soul Edge, like with any fighter. And you could buy all these different equipment, and it were really good fun. And it lasted, I'd say it lasted a good like 8 hours as well. And once you beat every mission, because every mission had its own stipulations and things, and once you beat them, you'd like be given more missions. And then there were a lot of extra modes as well. But Soul Calibur 3, now this is something I've never understood. People slag off Soul Calibur 3. To me, that is the best Soul Calibur game, because not only did it refine like the gameplay and give you more characters and creation mode, like more customization, a lot more disciplines, but it give you a 20-hour campaign with like RPG elements where you're leveling up characters and seeing this unit build and develop and take on this empire, and you know. To me, it was amazing. Chronicles at Sword were amazing, and each character story had like multiple outcomes and quick time events, which actually, you know, affected how story had developed and things. So yeah, Soul Calibur. This is my point. The previous games had excellent stories. This game, story mode, the standard is apparently 3 hours. If you're good at the game, it'll take you 2.5 hours. And the story is basically, it's set 17 years after Soul Calibur 4. Sophia's dead. Yeah. Oh well. But her son and daughter, Patroclus, I'm going to call him. They call him Patroclus. But I ain't American, right? So it's called Patroclus, right? And Pyrrha, she's called. Alright, the good names. And yeah, they're basically, Pyrrha is being manipulated by Soul Edge, by Tira specifically, and Patroclus is betrayed by his mentor, and he is the wielder of Soul Calibur. So each sibling, the tide between, the kind of conflicted between the loyalty to, you know, the siblings, to themselves and the swords. And as an outline, I think it's a great idea, because they both, if they do, I think the problem with it is they don't meet enough characters, and it is really short. It's 2.5 hours. The cutscenes, it's really lazy. They use like still shots with just, you know, text on it and some pretty poorly written dialogue. If they'd have took the time as, you know, they did in previous games, I think it would have been really good. I mean, that's the thing. If you're a fan of Soul Calibur, you have expectations for this series. You expect a good story mode. Other fighters don't really have good story modes. Except I've not played the new Mortal Kombat, but I'm not a big fan on Mortal Kombat, so I didn't really get it. But apparently that had great single player content, and you know, since that came out, I thought Namco had like tried to copy that and really add something to single player, because that were a big complaint with Soul Calibur 4, but apparently not. So single, you know, story mode, forget about it, not important, because you're going to buy this game for the gameplay, because in terms of gameplay, they have refined so much. They have, well, for one thing, I didn't believe them when they said this. In all their interviews, they've said, in terms of the movesets, they've gone back to the roots, like with Soul Calibur 1 and Soul Calibur 2. And when you play as them, like Voldo for instance, his moves are really similar to Soul Calibur 2. And Ivy, only has 2 stakes on a blade. Maxi, there's some moves, usually they do require you to be like flinging your nunchucks at that, but he don't, he just does the move and that's it, you can fucking guard. And that's always been my big complaint with Maxi, the fact that you can't just play it normally, and you gotta fuck about with your stances, and you gotta keep attacking. That's what I mean, Maxi is a purely offensive fighter, and now you don't have to be, you can actually play the game as it's supposed to be played, and I really like that. But yeah, in terms of, they've got rid of the critical finishes from the 4th one, and they've added these super moves called critical edges. The fucking Street Fighter Ultra moves, essentially. They are literally the same. You can detour them, and you know, it charges up twice, and using that same meter you can do these EX moves. Well, they're not EX moves, they're called Brave Edge moves. And they're basically, you know, normal moves but more powerful, or unblockable or whatever. And guard impacts have changed. Guard impacts is now, it used to be either forward or back and G, but now it's back and ABK. So it is more difficult to perform, and it takes up a quarter of your meter as well. So you have to be a lot more strategic. You can't just spam guard impacts anymore, which I really like. They brought in a new, it's like the parry in Street Fighter 3, it's the Just Guard it's called, where you tap the X button and you'll basically cancel out their attack, and you'll have a frame advantage, so you can do a launch move or whatever after. But they take a lot of time, and I think the window for them is actually, I think it's too small. It's like you're never going to get one unless you're lucky. So strategically you're never going to get a Just Guard. But yeah, I think in terms of gameplay they've tweaked it so well, like the fact that you can stunning people's a lot easier. So they've encouraged the use of combos more. I'm not saying like fucking Marvel vs. Capcom style combos or Tekken combos. I'm talking just, you know, 3 or 4 moves and that's it. For those casual players, people that aren't used to this series, they will find themselves pulling off badass moves a lot easier. Not just because of that, but the fact that the movesets have been tweaked so that it's a lot easier to do difficult, you know, moves that would have been difficult in the previous games. So yeah, I really like how they tweaked everything. They've sped it up. Everything seems to have a really good punch to it. Honestly, I'd say the system is the best that we've seen so far in this series. For me, I am having a lot of fun, and you can see the budget has completely, it's gone in the combat, refining that, and it's gone in the online mode. I mean, the online mode, it's, besides, you know, Super Street Fighter 4, it's the best online mode I've played in a fighting game. It's just, you hardly get any lag. I like the fact you can have rivals, so you can, say you face someone who it's like, you know, you want to track how their progress and things like that, or you have, you know, some mates have bought game, you want to see how they're doing, and you track the progress. So you can literally, on the main menu, you can have, there's 4 slots, there's 1 for you and 3 more for whoever you choose as your rival, and you can track everything they do in the game. All you do is press triangle over the card and it'll tell you everything that they've done, like offline and online. How many characters they've created, how much distance they've travelled, you know. And it's really good just to compare your stats, and it does this thing. It compares your stats and it tells you who's first and who's second. So you'll look at that and think, fuck that, I want to be first in that. So that like gives you drive to do other things that you wouldn't normally do in game, and it's a really genius thing, that I've got to admit. And they've added these lobbies as well, where you can, like, if you don't want to do ranked matches, you can just casually hang out in a lobby where like tournaments are set up, and you can talk to people. So you can ask people, you know, if you want a specific character to go against, you can just ask people, like send a message, and you know, you can join a battle with them and things like that. And you know, it's a great way to, you know, sort out matches and meet people. I didn't think it could work, but it really is a lot of fun to play. I'm not normally an online person for fighting games. You know, I'm an offline, you know, in the same room, you know, laughing in their face when they lose. I'm that kind of person. The only problem, saying that isn't a problem. I was going to say the only problem is that, you know, it is a high level. Like, people are very good. You know, I mean, I've got a 70% win ratio, but I've faced some people ridiculous. But I've faced a lot of people who are obviously new to the franchise. So, you know, people like that, I advise you to go onto the lobbies, because the lobbies, you can arrange these games, and you know what I mean, it's just fun that they give you the option for all these different levels, and you can actually change your criteria to how many wins people have got. So if you don't want to face people that are like, you know, gods on it, you can change it so you don't have to do that. And yeah, I think I love the options. The online mode's great, fantastic stuff. So in terms of longevity, yeah, this game, it entirely depends on how much you love Soul Calibur and how much you love fighting games. Because you're bothered about the way it plays. Like me, I have experienced my share of Soul Calibur stories. I just want to experience a great game. So, in the character creation, you know what I mean? I didn't even mention that, did I? Yeah, character creation's better than it's ever been. Words don't really do it justice. If you want to see what the character creation's like, I'll post a link in description. They did a 5-minute trailer showing off the character creation, and it is like that. It is the same, and it's that good. So I advise you to look at that trailer. It really does. It shows it off completely. It's great. But yeah, in terms of longevity, if you're a fan, you are gonna play this forever. It's gonna be one of them that, you know, you're gonna play every time a mate comes over and things like that. And you're going to have a few matches, like, every couple of weeks online, so it's going to be worth its money. If you're a fan of fighting games, if you want something different, if you've not tried this series, I would definitely advise picking up this one, because, you know, fighting gamers, they don't really, if, you know, by general, I'm not saying everyone, but they don't expect a, you know, really strong story. They just expect a really fun, you know, fun mechanics and stuff, and this does offer that. It's definitely the most refined of the Soul Calibur games, and it does borrow from other series, so you'll expect these different traditions, you know, flipped into its own style. So, you know, it might offer something different. So fighting gamers, I advise you, you know, I'd wait for a discount though, because in terms of content, it's not fantastic. Its character creation's unbelievable, like, but and online's great. So it really depends what you're looking for. People who aren't into fighting games, you're not gonna bloody buy it, are you? Anyway, so yeah, don't bother. Buy something else. There's something else. There'll be something else out. Go and buy that instead. If you're not bothered about it, don't bloody buy it. Simple as. But yeah, for me, I'm gonna give it 9 out of 10. Because to me, this is the most fun I've had playing a fighting game since Soul Calibur 2 back in 2002, and it's really good to, you know, be saying that. So yeah, for anyone else, 8 out of 10 if you're not a huge fan of this franchise. If you are, you've already got it if you're a huge fan of the franchise. And yeah, by the way, if you do buy the game, I need to get, I fancy some player matches. I've not tried that yet. None of my other mates have got it yet. They've got other stuff, you know, well, money ain't exactly, you know, it's not exactly leaping at us, is it, money, these times? So, you know, I can understand. But if any of you have got this game, send me a personal message, I'll give you my PSN ID, we can have a few matches, so, yeah. Anyway, yeah, Soul Calibur 5, solid B game. Let me know what you think. What's your favourite fighting game? Yeah, I'm curious, because yeah, I know a lot of people, they have their own favourites, like, you know, like BlazBlue. People love BlazBlue and stuff like that. So yeah, what's your favourite fighting game? What are you looking forward to? Yeah, yeah, this is SlimmBob. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.